how do we deal with our children's disappointment when they don't get the candy that they wanted for Shalach Manos, or maybe, they don't get the same thing as their sibling, or, how do we get our children to be ready to be hosts or to be guests at a Purim Suda? How do we make Purim more than just an exciting holiday, but meaningful too? This episode is going to answer all of your practical questions for parenting on Purim with Adina Soclof, who is a certified speech pathologist and parent educator and is the founder of parentingsimply.com. You should check her stuff out. She has incredible content. And without further ado, enjoy the episode. Raising children in general is not easy. Throw in the desire to have passionate and committed Jews. Now that's next level hard. With weekly episodes on our parenting hierarchy, you will find the answers to your biggest parenting questions and gain the best practices you need to raise the children the way you want, to raise the Jews next door. So thank you, Adina. It's really such a pleasure to finally have you on the podcast. You contribute so much to Gen Aleph, whether with all your articles and your courses, and it's like a pleasure to really finally get you on the podcast. Thank you.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for having me. So I'm so excited about the Gen Aleph initiative. It's amazing. It's needed. And just all the content so far has really been super helpful, and just I'm so excited for us to continue. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Amen. Thank you. So let's dive right in. This is our pre-Purim episode. There's so many things, and this is meant to be the most practical episode possible for parents to be, ready to deal with any situation that comes their way. So one of the things, the first thing that comes to my mind is candy. Purim equals candy, and there's a lot of it. And sometimes that comes with some disappointment when, let's say, one child is not getting the same candy that their sibling got, or when they don't get the candy that they wanted, or maybe that they're overeating too much candy. So how do we help parents be ready for all of that?
Okay, fine. So what I like to do, so I work as a speech pathologist besides all the parenting stuff that I do. And a lot of times I work with a lot of children with high functioning autism. And so what we always do with children with autism, we always prepare them. So because one of the issues that children with autism, with high functioning autism have is that they don't know the hidden rules of a situation. So they go to a party, they don't know how to act. So we always walk through with them, how to act at a party, how to act in the classroom, how to act when we're going to go to the auditorium for
an assembly.
Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Now, all of these things I always say to my colleagues, and I always say to parents, all of these things that we use with children with high functioning autism work for typically developing children as well.
Right.
Purim is it's a minefield. Candy with the overstimulation. Your kid is probably going to have a meltdown. I'm sorry. That's just be prepared for that. At some point during the day, someone's going to have a meltdown. You might have a meltdown. But the thing that you want to do is you always want to prepare. You want to discuss beforehand. Okay. There's going to be a lot of candy. Even because we just did this whole, last month was all about eating. Right. So we want to make sure that, we're sort of you don't want to go crazy on Purim because kids need to eat candy. That's what makes Purim so exciting. But you can tell them to listen to the signals of their body. Right? We've been working on this with them for a while. Make sure when your tummy says it's enough, you've had enough.
Right. And that goes back to what we, the episode that we did for intuitive eating with Gila Glassberg. She was saying we have to help our children to become intuitive eaters. And the way to do that is to help them to start listening to their bodies and seeing, okay, when did I have enough? What's good food for me? So that, like you're saying, to get them to start listening to their bodies and saying, wait, maybe I shouldn't be having 18 Kit Kat bars and 7 lollipops all in one day. Maybe.
But it also is an opportunity for them to make big mistakes about candy. And then, and anytime a child makes a mistake, you don't want to say, I told you so. See what happens when you eat so much candy? You want to say, oh, you probably had too much candy. Ooh. You get like that stomach ache. You want to sort of validate, and you don't want to say, I told you so.
Right. That's good language to be prepared with, right?
The consequences of their behavior. So it's like a perfect opportunity it's really a learning. Yeah, it's an ability for them to learn about their bodies and learn about, how to manage that food. So
sure. So that's in the preparation stage, to talk to them and tend to help them to ideally listen to their body. What happens when either A, they're not listening to their body and they're, are out of control? Like what's the best way for a parent to handle that? Let's start with that and then I'll get to the B.
Okay, fine. So I think I think this is very hard to do. I think on Purim, we need to let go a little bit because we just need to let go. We're not going to be able to be on top of our kids all the time. But if you are able to, if you see that your child is heading for that meltdown, if you could cut it off at the pass, then do that. Also, you could prepare your children. You could say, tomorrow you're going to be having a lot of candy. It's going to be a lot of excitement. You might feel that your body is starting to get a little out of control. Come find me. I'll try to help you find a quiet place where you could calm down. I can help you calm down. I'll give you a hug to help you calm down, or any other things that you could do to try to help them calm down. And you could talk.
It's so good with children in general, but I feel like even more so for let's say, like those deeply feeling children who don't know, they don't know what to do with their emotions. I feel like that is huge for them. Like telling them it might be a hard day, like preparing them. It's probably going to be a hard day. And then just come find me and I'll find that space for you. Right. That's huge. That's a pro tip right there. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and hopefully, but you have to also let them know, mommy might be really, really, really busy. So you might have to find you might have to calm yourself down yourself. And you could talk about before, where could you go to get some quiet? What do you usually do to calm yourself down? All right. My kids would always they would have basketball hoops in their room. So they would always play basketball and that would calm them down. What could you do to get away from it all? So those are, and again, you're teaching them to behave independently, to gain that emotional regulation independently, which is a very important life skill. So
that could, I wonder, I just want to talk that out a little more. I could see that being potentially challenging if, let's say, you're at a Purim Seudah that you're not hosting, right? You're at someone else's house. And maybe it's family, but maybe it's friends. And how do you create that safe space for them? When they don't have that basketball hoop in their room that they're used to going to, and they don't have their own room that they feel, okay, this is my space. So, how do you create that space in, let's say, someone else's home, which is pretty, practical on a Purim type of day.
Well, you have to know your family and you have to know your kids. And if they're not going to do well at a friend's house, don't go to the friend's house. Just be smart about it. Okay. Now, let's say you are at a friend's house. You could sit on my, if you could also prepare them before. If we are at our friend's house, you could come and you could sit on my lap. I could cover your ears for you. Or if we need to, we could go into the bathroom and gain some quiet there, right? You can come up with a couple of ways that you can get them away from that stimulation. So, but you can do that. I think a lot of parents will just take their kid to the bathroom and just gain quiet there. So
that's a great call. So everything we've saying so far is more in the preparation stage. What do we do once they've actually had the meltdown? What's the best way at that time to de-escalate, or, what's the right language for parents to use in that type of moment? Okay. This is not just Purim, but I feel like you said, your children are going to have a meltdown on Purim. That's just the reality. And or like you said, we might have meltdowns on Purim. So how do we, I guess, deal with theirs, and maybe even also how do we deal with our own? These are very practical things.
So I think just knowing, parents act surprised when their kid has a meltdown on Purim. So they're either going to have a meltdown, they're going to have at some point in the day, either they're going to have it later on at night after everything's done, they're going to fall apart. Again, we could prepare them beforehand and we could say, at some point during the day, someone's going to melt down. There's going to be some disappointment. There's so much going on, right? You might feel your body getting out of control. Right. So we're going to figure out a way to get yourself calm. Okay. But now in the meltdown, when you're at when you're at your friend's house, right? So again, you have to go and find it's time to go home, which I know is a little bit painful for if you're having a good time, but it's time to go home. Or again, you have to go find that quiet place. There's got to be some sort of quiet place where you could take the child to help them finish up their meltdown. And also when a child is melting down, you don't want to say, stop crying. Why are you crying? You can't get everything that you want just because Ellie got the candy and you didn't. This is not the time to cry about it. So it just doesn't work. It just escalates. You just need to validate when the child's going through the tantrum. You're so sad. Your body's out of control. Right? You're so disappointed. And just sort of, that's really the only way to get through a meltdown as a parent. And I think parents also need to know that when children are tantruming, your blood pressure does go up. It's really unpleasant. So you also,
very true.
You need to talk yourself down. It's okay. This is just the Purim meltdown. He's going to get over it soon. Hopefully he'll get over it soon. I mean, it could last for a long time. If you're home, then, you could just put them in their room and hopefully they'll calm down there. I'm thinking if you're at somebody else's house, then that's obviously much harder. Also, if you're home and they're having the meltdown, at the end of the day, you want to get them into the bath, you want to get them hopefully get the sticky candy washed off of them, or don't get the sticky candy washed off of them. Just get them to bed, in a calm, anything that you could do to help them regulate their emotions. Any way that you normally do it, that's what you want to do towards the end of the day. There are some parents who really they don't care. They just go with the flow and they don't care about the meltdowns. Kudos to you. Good for you. You're going to have a fun Purim. I was not that type of parent, right? But there are parents who are just all right, they're going to melt down.
That is the parent, that's kind of what we need to do on Purim. We need to just go with the flow. Realize Purim is a day, it is what it is. It's funny. I was just learning this idea with one of my rebbeim just last night. And he was saying, he's Purim changed for me when I gave up on anything being in order. Purim, it just Purim became a totally different holiday. It's so not about everything being in order. And he said, if anything, it's interesting. It's an interesting idea. He was saying, when you think that everything needs to be calculated in order, he's that's actually a very Haman type of mentality. Haman, Hipil poor, and he made the lottery, and everything was value calculated. It was on the day that Moshe was born, and the day that Moshe died, and that's Haman. But when you get out of that mentality, that's when you can actually be your best self on Purim, and that's maybe that's really you're saying, that's the type of parenting that we need to do on Purim too.
So I love that. That's great. Yeah, you got to let go. So.
Yeah. How do we, we were talking about the preparation stages when it comes to the candy component. How do we prepare our children to either be hosts of a Purim Suda or to be guests at a Purim Suda? It's two very different things, but what's the right types of preparations we do?
So again, you could talk before about, I always go back to my training as a therapist for children with high functioning autism. We always are preparing them beforehand. And you can say, okay, this is what's going to happen, or this is what you're expected to do when people come to, even just accepting shalach monos, how to do it properly, how to do it in a polite way, right? Mm. Oh, you're bringing me this? Oh, we don't have anything for you, right? We didn't know that. No, you say thank you, and then you take the shalach manos that we have. We always would have a box of shalach manos at our, right next to the door. And here's the shalach manos. Especially if you have a child who, is not the most polite kid who's whatever they want. Okay, just again, teaching them, practice with them beforehand what's expected, what they're supposed to say, and how to be a good host. And, whatever. We always would say, what toys are you willing to share with your, like even before a play date, what toys are you willing to share with your friends and what toys do you have trouble sharing with your friends? Let's put those toys that you have trouble sharing away. And maybe another time you'll be able to share those toys. But right now, let's put those away. Just simple things like that will make hosting so much better, right? And you always ask your guests first if they want food. And then you take, we would do a lot of role playing. I would do role playing with my kids so that they would know.
What age, children would you do like role playing with?
So you could do it at 2 or 3. It looks different at every age, but
right.
And depending on the child, but even at 2 years old, and kids love it. And if you do something like so rude, and you pretend to be all rude, like, hey, give me that candy. I want that candy, right? You pretend to be the kid.
Right, like they get it. They know that.
They like it and they respond to it and they figure it out. And it's very gentle. Instead of be polite, say thank you. You didn't say thank you, right? You teach them beforehand. Like when somebody gives you food, you say thank you. Even if you don't like it, even if they bring you a pineapple, you say, oh, thank you so much. This is so nice. Right. So again, all of this is this role playing and preparing beforehand. It is so critical and it's so effective.
Right. Is that we're actually lucky. We have like a Shabbos this year before Purim. So like we can use that Shabbos as like, we can like play Purim with our children and like really like go through the motions and like be like, we're hosting some family for Shabbos meal. It's the same thing as like hosting a Suda, and like really like actually like practice it. It's a good opportunity.
Right. So that's true. I didn't even think about that.
So, Purim is already very exciting for children. It's maybe the most exciting, of all the chagim that we have. It's maybe the most exciting. It's, between the candy and the costumes, it's got it all. How do we make it more than just exciting and also meaningful? Meaning like there's the 4 mitzvahs of the day. How do we get them to tap into those mitzvahs more, or just in general? Like, how do we make Purim more meaningful for them?
So I think Chazal and our Chachamim did such a good job so that we are able to tap into the meaning of the day and the excitement of the day. I mean, there's no one who says, oh, I hate Purim. I don't know anybody who says that. But again, to make it, so for me, it's always about role modeling. How is your Purim? Like, are you, trying to outdo your neighbor with your shalach manos, or, children pick up on that. So I think role modeling is really important. If you're a person who this is where your creative juices start flowing and you just love to make beautiful shalach manos and the themes and, go for it. I am not. I feel I'm so stressed out from the whole theme thing. I just don't know how to do it. Right. But I used to feel when I was younger and I would get these beautiful themed, Mishloach Manot, and then the costumes that match, I would feel so insecure. I hope my children didn't get that, pick up on that attitude. But now, as I'm older, it's like, I just appreciate it. And now I'm like, wow, look at that. Look how they put that together. That's so amazing. And just saying that out loud, that you appreciate somebody's creativity is, again, that helps you tap into I feel like that means that helps you tap into the meaning of Purim, of really appreciating your neighbors, appreciating other people's creativity. Nice. I think that could be a very beautiful way to.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I think also for me, I love Purim. I love the story. Esther Hamalka is just. She's a role model for me. She's a role model for everyone, but especially women. She really, she gave up her life to save the Jewish people. And I just love in the Megillah when Mordechai tells her, you have to go to the king. You have to save the Jewish people. And she hesitates. And for me, that fear makes her so real and makes her so human. And and this is throughout the year. I would say to my kids, all right, I got to act like Esther Hamalka. I'm really scared to do this.
That's awesome. I love that.
I have to act like Esther Hamalka. And so that brings Purim throughout. I feel like that brings Purim into your whole year. So to me, that brings meaning. And if you could find ways to say that on Purim, like, Esther Hamalka, this is an Esther Hamalka moment. I see that you're
like what you were saying before, like we're like, as you're getting into a place where you're maybe going to have a meltdown, or you're seeing like, wow, this is a big Esther Hamalka moment. Like, how are we going to handle this? Like, like I'm stressed out right now myself. I'm like, you got to think like, what would Esther Hamalka do? Like it's a great opportunity. That's awesome. I love that idea. That's
a great idea. Okay. That's taking it even further. So so I find that to be very meaningful. And then also, it's an 8 ratzon, right? You're supposed to dive in. The skies are open. Hashem is listening to all your tefillos. So again, you don't want to say to your child, well, Hashem is listening to all your tefillos. What are you doing? You're just sitting around. You're eating candy? Dive in. Let's go. No, but see that if you say, wait, I have 5 minutes. I'm going to say a little Tehillim, right? Then again, that role modeling of how you make meaning out of the day is so valuable. I think that's really the best that we could do, especially again, it's such a busy day. It's such a hectic day.
Well, it's interesting. It's such a busy, hectic day. We're driving around a lot, right? Delivering Shalach Manos. What you just said gave me an idea. Like maybe just bring a Tehillim or bring like a sefer with you and be like, I have 5 minutes right now. While you're running, I'm just going to say one thing of Tehillim, like just, or like, hey, like while we're waiting for your brothers to come back or your sisters to come back, do you want to say one Tehillim with me? I'm like, I'm just going to say one. Just like, also like it shows like, we're really like utilizing every moment of this day. It's a huge day. I'm like showing them like, this is a huge day. And I want to really use every second, to the most.
No, I do. And again, seeing you doing it instead of, you telling them what to do, I think is the most valuable way that you can really make Purim meaningful for them. Because if they see that that's what their father does, then when they're a father, it'll be more natural for them. They'll naturally reach for their Tehillim on Purim. And another thing to just make it a little bit more meaningful. So many people give special Shalach Manos to their children's rabbeim, to their children's teachers. So just pointing that out to your children, like, again, just reinforcing and deepening it a little bit and just saying, I'm so happy that we're giving these Shalach Manos to your rabbeim, to your teachers. They do so much for us. And just mentioning that can really just make Purim just a little bit more meaningful. Just the things that you're doing a little bit more meaningful.
It's so true. And it's a great way to really reinforce what your values are, like as a family. Mm-hmm. And I could tell you as someone who's been a Rebbe on the receiving end, it means a lot. It really does. And it's like when like, especially like I've had students who like have driven really far just to like come and give me Shalach Manos. Like it really, it makes a big impact. If anyone's like not sure, does it help? Like it really, it's very sweet and it's very meaningful. So yeah, it's a really great point.
That's good to know.
As we wrap up, any areas of like Purim, parenting on Purim that you feel like we haven't touched on, or if not, if we've touched on everything, any final message to the parents before Purim?
And again, I just want to reiterate, it's a day where there's going to be a meltdown. It's a day where you said, we just need to let go. And, it's an opportunity to feel any more pressure, to make memories for your kids and to make it special and meaningful for them in simple ways, the simple ways that we outlined. And again, I mean, there's no kid that says that they don't like Purim. So really, whatever you've been doing up until now, don't drive yourself crazy to do anything more. So.
It's very true. Okay. Thank you so much. This was, excellent. Really some seriously pro tips here. And I'm excited to share this with everyone. It's going to be very impactful. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jews Next Door. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. I'd love to hear your takeaways. Reach out to us. Reach out to me at yair@jenaleph.org, hi@jenaleph.org. You can check us out on the website. You could leave a question there. We'd love to be in touch. Please be in touch. Check us out on Instagram at Parenting the Jews Next Door. Hit me up on Twitter at yair menshel. And we're on TikTok now too. We have some great content, a lot of really great insights into parenting, tips, parenting pointers, reaction videos, and quotes. We have a lot going on. We have a lot of articles. You want to check it out. Check it out at genoff.org. You won't be sorry you did. And I look forward to hearing from you. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the podcast, make sure you subscribe and share it with your family and friends. Looking forward to another great episode next week.